Hello and welcome guys to a new episode on SportPredictorFanatic. Today we're gonna do some more Olympic tennis match. We're of course already at the quarterfinals if I'm correct, but I think I am. But yeah, there are 4 matches being played today, so we're definitely gonna predict them. So let's get into it. By the way, I'm sorry my voice can be a little bit tough because I have a sore throat, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna start with the first matchup today, Paul against Alcaraz. Well, Alcaraz is basically piece past the last round, beating Safiullin with 6-4, 6-2. Before that, he defeated Griekspoor, and in the first round, he defeated Hassan. Unfortunately for him, he lost a doubles match with Nadal yesterday, and with that actually ended Nadal's medal chances. Of course, he's already out in the singles as he lost to Djokovic. But there's of course, the double ending, the doubles tournament ending for him will be, I think, a huge benefit because he is now able to fully rest instead of playing like twice a day. But this only benefit will be there if he beats Paul today. Alcaraz has now actually played 6 matches in 5 days, which is of course a lot. And also like the fact that he has been dealing with an injury, I think that's really much if you're dealing with an injury. So I think that's not the perfect situation for Alcaraz, but you know how it goes. The quarters are also like the round where Alcaraz has lost the most this year. With losing 3 times this year at the quarterfinals. I think one of the times was at the Australian Open. His opponent Paul has faced like 3 pretty solid opponents. And he actually defeated them all in straight sets, which was really impressive. He first beat Doderi, of course a good clay quarter. Then he beat Mansik, also a really all-round good player. And then he beat home crowd favorite Moutet. The last one, he had to fight for it, especially the first set, but he elevated his game at the right moment in the tiebreak, and he won that one. But Paul has actually done really well this season, and with that actually held his top 20 status that he earned last year. He's already reached 8 quarterfinals this season. Which is pretty good, to be quite honest. The most recent one was, of course, against, Alcaraz, which Alcaraz won in 4 sets. This was at Wimbledon. But actually, Paul actually dominated like 1.5 sets there. So if he can do that now again, but hold it longer, there's, of course, a chance. But with that win for Alcaraz, the head-to-head is now 3-2 in favor of Alcaraz. Paul is actually one of the only people I think that is able to match like Alcaraz in energy and in endurance. And I think with the injury of Alcaraz, if he makes it like a grueling match, this might be like a really surprised, but I still think Alcaraz will, even with the injury, will win this match, and the odd for that is 1.515. Sorry. And the next matchup is Zverev against Musetti. Zverev had quite an easy run so far, in the first round beating Munar, and in the second beating Matcha. But then in the third round, he had a hard time. In the first set, he faced like a set point against him. But Zverev soon regained control and still won the first match 7-5. And then won the second set 6-3 against Popyrin. This actually hasn't been a perfect year for Zverev. But it's still like a freaking great season for him. He's already reached 9 quarterfinals this year. He won 7 of those quarterfinals and lost only 2. Zverev is still unbeaten at the Olympics, winning, of course, gold in his debut in Tokyo 3 years ago. His opponent Musetti has also won like all 3 matches in straight sets. and is in the form of his life at the moment. He beat home crowd favorite Monfils in the first one, then he beat Monfils, and then he beat Taylor Fritz. Um, Musetti actually had a hard 5 months in like at the start of the year, but since the grass ring, he's played phenomenally. He has reached the semis in the last 4 tournaments he was in, of course, including Wimbledon. And with that, actually came back into the top 20, a place he's lost in the bad 5 months at the beginning of the year. But Musetti has actually always done a really good hero clay. Like he's performed really well, but he always faced like big names early on. With I think it was Djokovic twice, Alcaraz once, and Tsitsipas once, where he lost against. And those were all on quite early round. But he has played phenomenally. Like he's played really good here. Zverev does lead this head-to-head with 1-0. But I think actually Musetti definitely has like a chance here. And I think he will make Zverev lose for the first time at the Olympics. I actually believe so. Like with his play, I think he can actually do that. So yeah, what I'm gonna say is Musetti. And then we have Casper Ruud against Felix Auger-Aliassime. I think Auger-Aliassime has done really well this Olympic tournament, beating Giron in the first round, Marcher in the second round, and of course beating Medvedev in the third. And that was actually someone he has never won against, although like his record against Medvedev was 7 for Medvedev and 0 for him. So it must feel really good for him to now finally win against him. He won them all in straight sets, which was really good. I mean, with this win, he also ended his 7-match losing streak against top 5 players, which of course is not good. But now this is extra confident. Before this, Auger has been in a little bit of a slump. Actually, since his like injury season in 2023, he hasn't been like at his best in 2024. He's shown some good signs, but also quite inconsistent. So I think beating top 10 players, which of course Casper Ruud is and Medvedev was, back to back will be a really hard task. But if he does this, if he wins this, I think his belief of winning the gold will definitely exponentially rise. But yeah, the last time he did actually beat top 10 opponents back to back was in Rotterdam 2022, where in the semi-final he beat the top 10 player, and then in the final he beat the top 10 player. Of course, winning the championship with that. So I'm not saying there is a sign, but there could be a sign. But his opponent Ruud has seemed to have some trouble in the first 2 matchups against Daniel and in the second round against Favazori. But in the third round, he has played phenomenally against, of course, Cerundolo, who became champion in Umag last week. But yeah, he just outclassed Cerundolo there with 6-3, 6-4, played really well, I'm gonna be honest. Ruud elevates his game when needed. There's that. Ruud's also skipped like most of the grass swing to be fully fit here and like fully focused here on the Olympics, where I think he has the biggest chance to win ever because it's on his favorite surface. He's in an alright form, so I think that's gonna be alright. Because he's not only one of the most consistent players this year, but also like here in Paris, of course. He reached the final here in 2022 and 2023 of Roland Garros and the semis in this year's Roland Garros. And he has actually with that maintained a perfect quarterfinal record here in Paris. And Ruud actually leads his head-to-head with 4-3, but on clay it's actually tied to the 2-2. So really close. I think this will be like another really close matchup. But I think with Ruud, in Paris on Roland Garros. On Roland Garros courts, I think he's going to win. The odd for that actually is 1.55. Then the last match, and I think the match with the highest rankings against each other, which is of course a Djokovic against Tsitsipas. Djokovic won the first and second round quite easy against Ebden and of course Rafael Nadal. In the third round he was up against Kupfer, which I expected to be his biggest challenge. And it basically was. I mean, he won 7-5, 6-3, which is still in straight sets. But he dropped 8 games this match. And this was more than I think Nadal and Ebden combined had. So it was his toughest match. But yeah, he still got through convincingly as expected. Of course, a gold medal is Djokovic's highest goal this year, as he's never won a gold medal or any medal, I think, at the Olympics, if I'm correct. But yeah, he's of course won everything else, so the gold medal is really high on his list. But Djokovic should have really high confidence, as Sinner has of course withdrawn at the beginning of the tournament, and Alcaraz seems a bit vulnerable at the moment with the injuries. And despite being 2024 being a challenging year for him, he's still done well, consistently performing. And pulling off like good results. Djokovic this year actually hasn't lost a quarterfinal, if we don't count, of course, his withdrawal from Roland Garros 2 months ago, when of course he needed knee surgery. But yeah, if we don't count it, he has actually not lost a quarterfinal he has played this year. His opponent Tsitsipas actually also eased past the first 2 rounds, beating 2 out-of-form players in Zizou Bergs and Dan Evans. In the third round, he was up against like a great clay courter Bas. But Bas hasn't been too convincing in recent times, and Tsitsipas won this matchup quite easily. Tsitsipas was beside like the singles tournament, also in the mixed and the doubles tournament. But the singles tournament is like the only tournament remaining where he has a chance to win a medal, as he's out on those other 2. Tsitsipas has like a little bit of a knock in confidence in recent times, and that comes from losing to like the top 3, top 4, top 5 a little bit too much. So it will be really tough for him to now face Djokovic, but if he wins this, he will have so much confidence all of a sudden, and then you never know. But the head-to-head is 11-2 in favor of Novak Djokovic, and I think this could be a really freaking close matchup, with of course both winners possible. But let's be fair, I think Djokovic will get this win and get a step closer to his gold medal. The odd for that is 1.33. But yeah, those were the predictions of today. So I want to thank you all for watching. Please have a great day, and I'll see you.